June 15th used to be an important day in baseball season because it used to be the trade deadline day. And let's look at some deadline deals on that day. My mother cried. Tom Seaver traded from the Mets. Pat Zachary was supposed to be good, wasn't he? Doug Flynn? No? All right. Well, 83, they got it right, acquiring Keith Hernandez from the Cardinals. And that certainly was a major piece that became a championship team, of course. Alan and Fernando back here with you. Makes us think about some of the best and worst trades on a trade deadline day. And, you know, there's several we can go over. You got a couple?
Cespedes. I mean, what a shot in the arm.
Yeah.
Talk about getting a star player to just lead you to the promised land. That's exactly what happened, breathing life into the franchise. Came at a price, as they often do.
Sure.
I think Fulmer was in that deal, but that's how they come. I mean, I think Aroldis Chapman, that came at, quite a price, obviously.
The Aroldis Chapman trade, if you want to break it down, might have been those rare trades for both. It worked out for both sides.
Yeah.
The Yankees were sellers. You move Chapman. You get Gleyber Torres back, a valued prospect. The Cubs win the World Series. They're happy.
Yes, and knowing that the Cubs are just at that level of desperation.
Well, they needed it.
Like, they need it. We'll do anything.
Yeah.
We'll do anything.
Yeah, and then the best part is this is again what makes Brian Cashman like almost a genius.
Yeah.
Is that, okay, you can borrow him, you can give us your best prospect, and then we'll take him back as a free agent. I mean, how great did that?
Because he
that
likes our
worked out
pinstripes better,
perfectly.
basically.
And again, the Cespedes trade, now you look at it now with his injuries and everything like that, but they had signed him after. But that trade, what that did for the Mets that season, and really, a team that got off to a slow start, but then turning it into a run to the World Series, is a fantastic one.
Yeah.
There's others that you can go through.
Another bad one for you.
You got another bad one
for you. Esteban Loaiza for Contreras. I mean, if you haven't followed along here, Esteban Loaiza has been connected to as like a drug kingpin. I mean, it's very, very fascinating. I mean, go get on your Google and have a look. Traded for Jose Contreras. Right, this one didn't work out so well. Contreras, I got a chance to face him. I saw a sinker that went from head to toe in a matter of split seconds. Unbelievable. Quite a fascinating one. What else you have?
Well, the same day that the Mets traded Tom Seaver, they also traded Dave Kingman, and they got Bobby Valentine, Bobby V, in that trade. So, a lot happened that day. Were you ever traded on a trade deadline trade? Or
not on a trade deadline trade. I was once traded from Tampa Bay to the Cubs. I was either the fries or the toy in the Matt Garza deal. There was a huge haul, and I did speak to GM. Who was the GM? Andrew Friedman. We spoke, and I said, Andrew, it's a pretty good trade, actually. Pretty good haul. I mean, a big trade. The Cubs were not quite ready to compete. It wasn't the greatest for me, but it's tough. They got 6 pieces there, and 2 of the 3 pieces, they had injuries in the minor leagues. There was a shortstop, Hae-Juk Lee, that was in there that could have been a really, really great player. I mean, you just get such an assorted bag, and I mean,
you're hoping something. When you get a big trade like that, you're just hoping 1 or 2 of them work out. I just love how you called yourself the fries in the
or the toy, depending on how you want to look at that.
I mean, that's unbelievable. Look, there are several others we can go through for the Yankees. I mean, getting David Cone, that's a huge one for them in 1995. Cecil Fielder, another one. David Justice. You mentioned Loaiza. Now, for the Mets,
and Justice was for Leday, and they're very similar in a way too. That's like such a Yankee move. That's such a postseason
Ricky
move.
Leday,
right? Ricky Leday.
Yeah.
So, and Ricky Leday was younger. So essentially,
and we hate trading young players. For some reason, you hate letting go.
Exactly.
But these are
the thing is like when you're heading into the playoffs, if you think about trading 2 players that are similar but are separated in 8 years of experience, you go with the older guy because when things get a little bit hairy late in September, when it starts to get cold, and you're in the mystical Yankee Garden with during the playoffs, like you want to
mystical Yankee Garden.
Like you're interested in trusting David Justice a little bit more than you are Ricky Leday. It can be painful to be that young player, knowing like
you're always afraid that young player is going to turn into something spectacular, but you always want those trades that are going to help you win a championship. The Mets in 1969, Don Clendenin. For 4 guys that, I mean, I was -3 at the time, so I couldn't tell you who they traded him for, but you certainly know what that resulted in. We mentioned Hernandez, and how about the trade for Mike Piazza?
Yeah.
You know, what did that do for the Mets? Only, I mean, the next 2 years for them, spectacular. NLCS and obviously the World Series and what he became for the Mets. You mentioned Cespedes as well. Some of the tough ones. Dykstra for McDowell. Dykstra and McDowell, I should say. Just letting them go to Philly and then Philly winning a World Series. Jeff Kent.
Jeff Kent, Mets.
Remember that? When they traded Kent for Baerga.
Carlos Baerga.
Yeah. I mean, and the Zambrano one you mentioned. There's also got to be another one that has to be mentioned here that we are leaving out, and it's a very famous one. And it's from the Yankees, and it's from 1988, and that, of course, is Jay Buhner. It's Jay Buhner and of course, for Ken Phelps.
For Ken Phelps.
Yeah, and that's one that Frank Costanza had a hard time with that one. His first opportunity, as you remember from the Seinfeld episode, when he meets with George Steinbrenner, the character George Steinbrenner, and he said, "The hell you trade Jay Buhner for?" Right? And that's how we feel about some of these trades.
For more great videos from the MSG 150, check out right there. And remember, our show is on Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10:30 p.m. on MSG Network and MSG Go.